The breaking point. The Helios research station hung like a jewel in the dark expanse of space, its solar arrays catching the light of the distant star it orbited. For 15 years, it had served as humanity's foremost xenobiology research facility, a symbol of peaceful scientific cooperation with other species across the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Chen had called it home for the past decade, raising her daughter Lucy among the stars while studying the fundamental building blocks of life across different worlds. She never imagined it would become humanity's Pearl Harbor. The first warning came from the station's long-range sensors. 3 Kraxan warships dropping out of hyperspace. Their angular, obsidian-hulled vessels were immediately recognizable, their very design an expression of their species' aggressive philosophy. But the Kraxan were signatories to the Galactic Concordat. They wouldn't dare attack a civilian research station. Sarah's hands trembled as she initiated the emergency protocols. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen, Chief Researcher of Helios Station. Kraxan vessels, you are approaching a civilian research facility. Please state your intentions." The response came in the form of plasma torpedoes. The first volley struck the station's outer research modules, turning years of carefully cultivated samples into space debris. The second hit their communications array, cutting off their distress signal mid-transmission. Through the observation window, Sarah watched escape pods launching from the lower levels, carrying her colleagues, her friends, into the void. She prayed they would reach the nearby mining colony of New Titan. "Mama." Lucy's voice was small, frightened. The 7-year-old clutched her tablet, where she had been doing her daily lessons just moments ago. "What's happening?" Sarah scooped up her daughter, running toward the nearest emergency shelter. "It's going to be okay, sweetheart. We're going to be okay." The words felt hollow even as she spoke them. They weren't fast enough. The next impact sent them sprawling. Through the transparent aluminum windows, Sarah saw more Kraxan ships arriving. Smaller vessels, boarding craft. The station's minimal defense systems were overwhelmed in seconds. The sound of metal being torn apart echoed through the corridors. The Kraxan were cutting their way in. Sarah pulled Lucy into a maintenance shaft, pressing her daughter close as heavy footsteps thundered past their hiding place. The Kraxan moved with military precision, their environmental suits making them look like walking nightmares. Through gaps in the wall paneling, Sarah could see them methodically sweeping each section, weapons raised. They weren't taking prisoners. The screams started soon after. Sarah covered Lucy's ears, tears streaming down her face as she heard her colleagues, people she had worked with, laughed with, lived with, being systematically executed. The Kraxan were thorough, checking every room, every corner. "Mama," Lucy whispered, "I'm scared." "Sheo, baby, we have to be very quiet." Sarah's mind raced. The maintenance shaft connected to the station's waste recycling system. If they could reach it, maybe they could hide until help arrived. They never got the chance. A clawed hand ripped away the panel concealing them. Sarah found herself staring into the faceless helmet of a Kraxan soldier. She pushed Lucy behind her, spreading her arms wide. "Please," she begged, "she's just a child." The Kraxan tilted its head, studying them with an almost curious gesture. Then it raised its weapon. The last thing Sarah saw was Lucy's tablet floating in zero gravity, screen still displaying her interrupted mathematics lesson. In the following days, the galaxy would learn of the Helios massacre. The Kraxan Empire would claim it was a necessary military action, that the station had been conducting weapons research in violation of galactic law. They would present fabricated evidence, speak of regrettable but necessary casualties. But they made one crucial mistake. They didn't know about the quantum entanglement communicator hidden in the station's core, transmitting everything. Every moment, every scream, every cold-blooded execution, directly to Earth. They didn't know that humanity had been preparing for something like this for generations, building a fleet in secret, hidden in dimensional pockets throughout the galaxy. They didn't know that humanity had long suspected that peace wouldn't last, that somewhere in the darkness between stars, a species would mistake human kindness for weakness. In the Terran Defense Force headquarters beneath Mount Cheyenne, Admiral James Chen watched the footage in silence, watched his daughter and granddaughter die. When the recording ended, he stood perfectly still for a long moment. "Sir," his aide waited nervously, "the Security Council is awaiting your recommendation." Admiral Chen took his seat in the observation gallery. He wasn't here as a judge. He was here as a witness, representing all those who had lost loved ones in the attack. Ambassador Marcus Rivera stepped forward to address the tribunal. "What you decide today will set a precedent for galactic justice. But remember, we are not here for vengeance. We are here to ensure such atrocities never happen again." The evidence was incontrovertible. The quantum entanglement recording showed not just the massacre itself, but the planning sessions leading up to it. The Craxan leaders had deliberately targeted a civilian research station, believing that demonstrating their willingness to kill children would cow humanity into submission. They had catastrophically misunderstood human nature. In orbit around Carax Prime, Admiral Helena Santos watched the proceedings from the Nemesis bridge. Her ship's quantum sensors monitored the contained Craxan military installations, where thousands of officers and soldiers waited to learn their fate. "Message from the Galactic Council, Admiral," her communications officer reported. "The Reformed Defense Coalition has been approved. 17 species have already signed the charter." Helena allowed herself a small smile. The coalition had been humanity's idea, a new framework for galactic security that would prevent any single species from achieving the kind of unchecked military dominance the Craxan had enjoyed. But unlike the old Galactic Council, this organization would have real power to act against aggressors. Back in the tribunal chamber, the Craxan defendants listened as their crimes were enumerated. Emperor Zexkrol's scaled features had lost their arrogant set, replaced by the haunted look of one who finally understood the magnitude of his actions. "Before we pass judgment," the lead judge announced, "do any of the defendants wish to speak?" Zexkrol rose slowly. "I have seen what humanity could have done to us. They had the power to destroy our entire civilization. Instead, they chose to show restraint, something we failed to do." He turned to face Admiral Chen. "Your species has taught us a painful but necessary lesson about the true nature of strength." The sentences were handed down. Permanent quantum stasis for those directly responsible for ordering the massacre. For others, terms of rehabilitation and reparation. The Craxan Empire would be reformed under a new constitutional government, its military permanently limited and monitored. But humanity wasn't finished surprising the galaxy. Admiral Chen approached the podium. "In memory of those lost at Helios Station, Earth has a proposal. The site of the massacre will become something new, an interspecies research center dedicated to peaceful scientific advancement. Even the Craxan will be welcome to participate, once they have demonstrated their commitment to peace." In the weeks that followed, the galaxy witnessed a transformation. Human technology began to spread, but not in the form of weapons. Medical facilities opened on dozens of worlds, offering cures for diseases that had plagued alien species for generations. Quantum transportation networks connected isolated colonies to the galactic community. Clean energy systems ended resource conflicts that had simmered for centuries. The Craxan Empire, under its new government, became an example of rehabilitation. Their warrior culture wasn't erased, but redirected. Their strength and discipline found new purpose in protecting the weak and maintaining peace. On Memorial Station, Admiral Chen stood with representatives from 30 different species as they inaugurated the new Helios Institute for Interstellar Cooperation. A holographic memorial showed the faces of those lost in the massacre, including Sarah and Lucy Chen. "My daughter believed that understanding between species was possible." Chen addressed the assembled delegates. "She died holding to that belief. Today, we honor her vision not through vengeance, but through progress. Not through destruction, but through creation." The station's quantum core hummed to life, powering laboratories and research facilities that would push the boundaries of science. In its central chamber, A quantum-encrypted message was displayed in every known language, in memory of those who dreamed of peace among the stars. Their legacy lives on in our commitment to justice, mercy, and the betterment of all species. Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden fleets remained vigilant, but their primary mission had changed. They were no longer just defenders. They were guardians of a new era of galactic cooperation. The age of isolation was over. The age of transformation had begun, and in the endless dance of stars, humanity had finally found its true role, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as shepherds guiding the galaxy toward a brighter future. As if to emphasize her point, a human destroyer near Carax's largest moon activated some kind of weapon. A beam of coherent energy lanced out, cutting one of the Craxan's orbital defense platforms in half with surgical precision. The platform's reactor didn't even have time to detonate. It simply ceased to exist, the atoms of its structure scattered to the solar wind. In the Galactic Council chamber, Marcus Rivera was still speaking. For centuries, humanity has watched species like the Craxan mistake our restraint for weakness, our diplomacy for fear. We built this fleet not because we wanted war, but because we understood that peace must be backed by strength. He paused, letting his words sink in. The galaxy's rules are about to change. No longer will we stand by while aggressive empires prey on the weak. No longer will we watch innocent worlds suffer because they lack the strength to defend themselves. The Arcturian delegate's crystalline form vibrated with concern. You're talking about enforcing your own justice across sovereign space. The Council cannot allow. The Council, Marcus interrupted, lost its moral authority when it failed to act on multiple documented instances of Craxan aggression, when it chose political expedience over justice, when it let the strong prey on the weak, because confrontation was uncomfortable. In space, the Craxan fleet launched another attack. This time, Helena allowed a single Craxan ship, their newest, most advanced destroyer, to penetrate the quantum barrier. The vessel fired everything it had at the Nemesis. Not a single shot scratched the paint. Return fire, Helena ordered. Minimal force. Show them. The Nemesis point defense grid activated. Thousands of microscopic drones swarmed out, surrounding the Craxan ship. In seconds, they had disabled its weapons, engines, and communications without causing a single casualty. The message was clear. If humanity had wanted to destroy them, they would already be dead. Emperor Zexcroll's next words would determine the fate of his empire. As he looked at the human fleet hanging in his skies like the sword of Damocles, he finally understood what his empire had awakened. They had mistaken humanity's patience for weakness. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The first strike. The quantum processors aboard the TSS Nemesis calculated 472 possible ways to completely destroy the Craxan Empire's military capabilities within the next 6 hours. Admiral Helena Santos rejected them all. This wasn't about destruction. It was about justice. Status of the Helios Station survivors, she asked, her voice carrying across the Nemesis's bridge. Lieutenant Jung consulted his display. 17 escape pods made it to New Titan, Admiral. 42 survivors total. He hesitated. No children among them. Helena's fingers tightened on her command chair's armrest. And the Craxan response to our ultimatum. Emperor Zexcroll is still considering his options, Mom. Time to show him what those options really are. Helena opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, commence Operation Daybreak. Remember your targets and remember our purpose. We are not here for vengeance. We are here for justice. Across the Carax system, human ships began to move. They didn't charge forward in a brutal assault. Instead, they executed a dance of precision and technological superiority that would be studied in military academies for centuries to come. Quantum-shifted corvettes appeared inside Craxan defense grids, their eye-driven point defense systems disabling weapons platforms with surgical precision. Larger vessels positioned themselves strategically, creating overlapping fields of gravitational distortion that prevented Kraxan ships from either escaping or effectively maneuvering. In his palace, Emperor Zexcrawl watched in mounting horror as his supposedly impregnable defenses were systematically dismantled. How? He demanded of his military advisors. How can they be everywhere at once? His chief scientist, Dr. Kexful, studied the sensor readings with a mixture of fear and fascination. They're using quantum tunneling on a massive scale, my Emperor, technology we theorized but could never achieve. They're not just moving through space, they're shifting between parallel probability states. On the bridge of his flagship, Supreme Commander Vexkar refused to accept defeat. Launch everything we have. They cannot be everywhere. But they were. When Kraxan missiles launched, human ships simply ceased to exist in that probability state, reappearing elsewhere. When Kraxan beam weapons fired, quantum shields absorbed the energy and redirected it harmlessly into subspace. It wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. In low orbit around Karax Prime, a squadron of human destroyers led by Captain Maya Patel positioned themselves above key military installations. Their weapons remained powered down. They didn't need them. Deploy the containment fields, Maya ordered. Her crews activated devices that the Kraxan had never seen before. Quantum isolation generators that could selectively remove sections of spacetime from normal causality. One by one, Kraxan military bases found themselves enclosed in shimmering fields of energy. Nothing could get in or out. Not weapons, not communications, not even light. The bases weren't destroyed. They were simply isolated. This is Captain Maya Patel to all contained Kraxan facilities. She broadcast on all frequencies. Your installations have been placed in quantum stasis. Time inside the fields is passing at 1/1,000,000th normal speed. You will remain conscious and unharmed, but unable to take any action until we choose to release you. In the Galactic Council chamber, the alien delegates watched the feeds with a mixture of awe and terror. This wasn't the crude display of power they had expected from humans. This was something else entirely, the kind of technological superiority that redefined what was possible. Ambassador Marcus Rivera continued his address. What you're witnessing isn't just a military action. It's a statement of principle. Humanity has the power to destroy, but we choose not to. We have the ability to conquer, but that is not our way. A holographic display showed human ships systematically isolating Kraxan military assets across their empire. Not a single civilian target was engaged. Not a single life was taken. We could have hidden forever, Marcus continued. Could have waited until we were so far beyond the rest of the galaxy that no force could have hoped to challenge us. But we chose to reveal ourselves now because principles matter, because justice matters. On the Nemesis, Admiral Santos received the report she had been waiting for. The quantum isolation fields had contained 94% of the Kraxan's military capabilities. Their command and control structure was effectively neutralized. Signal Emperor Zexcrawl, she ordered. Let's see if he's ready to be reasonable. The Emperor's image appeared on the main screen, his scaled features drawn with stress. Behind him, his palace shimmered with the same containment field that now enclosed his military bases. You could have destroyed us, he said, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in his voice. Yes, Helena agreed. We could have. And that's precisely why we didn't need to. She leaned forward in her command chair. Now about those responsible for the Helios massacre. As negotiations began, the galaxy watched and learned. Humanity had revealed not just its power, but its character. They had the strength to annihilate, and the wisdom not to. They had the power to conquer, and the restraint to seek justice instead. In the debris field that had once been Helios Station, a human ship maintained a solitary vigil. Inside, a quantum-enhanced AI compiled and processed every scrap of data, every fragment of evidence. It wasn't enough to punish the guilty. Humanity would ensure that such a tragedy could never happen again. The age of hiding was over. The age of justice had begun. Ripples across the stars. News traveled faster than light across the galaxy, carried by quantum-entangled networks and subspace transmitters. On 1,000 worlds, beings of every conceivable form watched and rewatched the footage of humanity's emergence. The Kraxan Empire, long considered one of the galaxy's preeminent military powers, had been neutralized in a matter of hours without a single shot fired in anger. In the crystalline cities of Arcturus Prime, the High Council of the Arcturian Collective convened an emergency session. Their entire understanding of the galaxy's power structure had been upended. They were among us the whole time. First speaker luminous thoughts resonated through the chamber. Building, preparing, advancing far beyond what we thought possible. How did we not see? Because they wanted it that way, answered second speaker Stellaris. They showed us exactly what they wanted us to see. A young, mostly harmless species taking its first steps into the galaxy. On distant Xenri, the hive mind of the myriad processed the implications. They had once considered invading Earth's colonies, believing the humans too fractured and individualistic to mount an effective defense. Now their consensus shifted, realizing how close they had come to catastrophic error. Aboard the diplomatic station Unity 1, Ambassador Marcus Rivera met with representatives from the galaxy's major powers. The chamber was tense, filled with a mixture of fear, respect, and curiosity. The Volian representative, a being of living plasma contained within an environmental suit, spoke first. Your demonstration of power was impressive, Ambassador. But surely you understand why many species now fear humanity's intentions. Marcus smiled, spreading his hands in a gesture of openness. Fear is a natural response to the unknown. But ask yourselves this: if conquest was our goal, why reveal ourselves now? Why not wait until our technological advantage was even greater? Then what are humanity's intentions? The question came from the Centauri delegate, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated deep concern. The same as they've always been, Marcus replied. To explore, to learn, to grow. But now we can add another: to protect. For too long, we've watched stronger species prey on the weak. We've seen colonies raided, research stations destroyed, entire civilizations subjugated, all while the Galactic Council debated procedure. He gestured to a holographic display showing the quantum isolation field still containing Kraxan military assets. What you see as a demonstration of power, we see as a demonstration of restraint. We could have destroyed the Kraxan Empire. Instead, we chose to incapacitate and isolate their military capabilities while protecting their civilian population. In the Nemesis's command center, Admiral Helena Santos reviewed reports from across known space. The galaxy was realigning itself, adjusting to the new reality of human capabilities. Several minor powers had already requested protective alliances. Others had voluntarily disclosed their own secret military projects, seeking amnesty and cooperation. Message from Earth Command, Lieutenant Zhang announced. The Security Council has approved Phase 2 of the operation. Helena nodded. Phase 2 would reshape the galaxy's political landscape forever. Send the announcement to all human ships. And get me a channel to Ambassador Rivera. On dozens of worlds across known space, hidden human facilities began to power up. But these weren't weapons platforms or military bases. They were something far more powerful. Research centers, medical facilities, technological institutes that had been operating in secret, developing solutions to problems that plague many species. In the Galactic Council chamber, Marcus Rivera prepared to make another announcement that would shake the foundations of galactic society. Representatives of the galaxy, he began, humanity's emergence from the shadows isn't just about military power. For centuries, we've been developing technologies and solutions that could benefit all species. Medical breakthroughs that could cure diseases that have plagued your peoples for generations. Energy systems that could end resource conflicts. Transportation technologies that could unite the galaxy in ways previously thought impossible. The chamber erupted in a chaos of questions and exclamations. Marcus raised his hand for silence. We kept these advances hidden because we knew that sharing them prematurely would lead to conflict. Now, with our ability to maintain peace demonstrated, we can begin sharing these benefits with those who are ready to embrace a new way forward. On Unity 1, representatives from 100 worlds watched in amazement as humanity revealed its second great secret, not just the power to destroy, but the power to transform, to heal, to unite. The Arcturian delegate's crystalline form pulsed with complex emotions. You're proposing to completely reshape galactic civilization. No, Marcus corrected gently. We're proposing to help galactic civilization reshape itself. The choice to accept or reject our offer will belong to each species. As the implications rippled across the stars, humanity's true strength became clear. It wasn't just their advanced technology or hidden fleets. It was their vision of a galaxy united not by force, but by choice. Not by fear, but by hope. The age of secrets was ending. The age of transformation was about to begin. Justice and mercy. Admiral James Chen stood in the observation dome of the newly constructed memorial station, built where Helios Station once orbited. Through the transparent, quantum-reinforced panels, he could see the stars scattered like diamonds on black velvet. Somewhere out there, his daughter and granddaughter had dreamed of peaceful cooperation between species. Now their legacy would help make that dream a reality. The defendants are ready, Admiral, Lieutenant Zhang reported quietly. In a specially constructed chamber below, the architects of the Helios massacre awaited judgment. Emperor Zexcroll, Supreme Commander Vexcar, and 12 other high-ranking Kraxan officials stood before a mixed tribunal of human and alien judges. The quantum isolation fields had been lifted, but their empire's military remained contained. Admiral Chen's voice was steady, but his eyes burned with a cold fire. Contact all fleet commanders. Authorization code. Prometheus Unbound. He paused, looking at the frozen image of his family's final moments. It's time to show the galaxy why humanity chose to hide its teeth. Across the solar system and beyond, hidden shipyards began to stir. In gas-giant atmospheres, beneath the surfaces of uninhabited moons, in the hearts of asteroid fields, humanity's secret armada awakened. Ships that incorporated technologies no other species thought possible, weapons that could reshape the fabric of space itself. The Kraxan Empire had wanted to send a message to humanity. Now humanity would respond, and the galaxy would never be the same. Shadows unveiled. The Galactic Council's emergency session erupted into chaos as the holographic display showed humanity's hidden fleet emerging across known space. Massive warships phased into existence, their hulls gleaming with technology that shouldn't exist according to known physics. Ships appearing from the hearts of stars, rising from gas-giant storms, materializing from what seemed to be empty space itself. Ambassador Marcus Rivera stood calmly at the podium, his dark eyes scanning the assembled representatives of 100 species. The Arcturian delegate, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with agitation. This is unprecedented. The Arcturian's translated voice boomed through the chamber. Humanity has violated every arms limitation treaty in the Concordat. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. With all due respect, honorable delegate, we did no such thing. Every treaty specified limits on ships in normal space. We simply chose to store our fleet elsewhere. The Kraxan representative, Supreme Commander Vexcar, rose from his seat, his scaled skin flushing dark with rage. This is an obvious prelude to human aggression. The Kraxan Empire acted on credible intelligence about weapons research at the Helios Station. We demand. You demand nothing. Marcus's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. With a gesture, he activated another hologram. The quantum entanglement feed from Helios Station played in perfect clarity, showing the systematic execution of unarmed researchers. The murder of a child. The chamber fell silent. We are not here to ask permission, Marcus continued. We are here to inform the Council that the Kraxan Empire will answer for its crimes. Any interference will be considered an act of war. In the space around the Kraxan homeworld of Karax Prime, their defense fleet scrambled to battle stations as human warships appeared in their thousands. Admiral Helena Santos stood on the bridge of the TFs as Nemesis, Earth's most advanced dreadnought. Its quantum core hummed with enough power to tear a planet apart. She had no intention of doing so. All ships maintain position, Helena ordered. This is a containment operation. The Kraxan people are not our enemy. Their leadership is. The Nemesis' tactical officer, Lieutenant David Jung, reported from his station. Kraxan fleet is moving to engage. Their weapons are hot. Helena nodded. Deploy the quantum barrier. Let them see what they're dealing with. A shimmering field of energy enveloped the human fleet, its surface rippling like oil on water. The Kraxan's first salvo, a barrage of antimatter torpedoes that could have cracked a moon, dissipated harmlessly against it. In his palace on Karax Prime, Emperor Zexkral watched the display with mounting horror. His military advisors had assured him that humanity was a minor power, barely able to defend its own territory. Now he stared at ships that dwarfed anything his empire had ever built, incorporating technology that his scientists had deemed theoretical at best. "My Emperor," his chief strategist's voice shook, "we're detecting energy readings that shouldn't be possible. Their smallest ships have enough power output to rival our largest dreadnoughts." A communication request flashed on the palace's main screen. After a moment's hesitation, Zexkral accepted it. Admiral Helena Santos' image appeared, her expression stern but not hostile. "Emperor Zexkral," she began, "I am authorized to offer you one chance to surrender those responsible for the Helios massacre. This includes military commanders, political leaders, and anyone else who participated in or authorized the attack." The Emperor's pride warred with his survival instinct. "And if we refuse, then we will take them. Your civilian populations will be unharmed. We are not like you. But your military installations, your shipyards, your command and control centers, those are valid targets.